Good morning. Welcome, come in, come in. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Desert. I'm Julia Alberg-Burbank, your worship associate for today. As we begin today's service, we acknowledge that we gather on the unceded lands of the Agua Caliente Band of the Cahuilla people. And we are committed to grow in our understanding and our relationship with this land and with the people who inhabited it and nurtured it before our arrival. In this congregation, we strive to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person. You are welcome, no matter your sexual orientation or gender identity, your age or your size, whether you're rich or poor. We welcome people of all races, religions, and cultures. We welcome you wherever you come from and whoever you love. We welcome all of those who will learn and grow with us as we commit together to embrace the rich and beautiful diversity of the world. Our goal here is to build a community that is centered in justice, in compassion, and in love. We are so glad you are here with us today, whether you are here in the sanctuary or online. Your presence is a blessing. Right. Well, we are so glad you are here with us today. In that spirit of rejoicing and joining together, I have asked Jim Tong to help light the BioPOC candle. Please join in the words on the screen. We light these candles in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and other people of color as we journey together towards spiritual wholeness. May we, as a beloved community, work to dismantle racism and all forms of oppression. May we live out our values so that justice, dignity, and equity for all prevail. And now, Reverend Ian will ring the Tibetan bowl, and we will begin to deepen our focus together.
Good morning. I didn't let you respond. I'm all excited. Good morning. I am the Reverend Ian Riddell, and I have the honor and delight of serving this congregation as its minister. However you found us, however many times you've been here with us in person or online, welcome. We are a congregation and a tradition that celebrates the richness and beauty of individual lives and commits to working together to weave a tapestry made stronger and more vibrant by our collaboration and by the sharing of our lives and our visions for a thriving future for all of life. We strive together to build the beloved community of resilience, hope, and love in the face of fear and fascism and apathy. We practice the opening of hearts, the working of hands, and the lifting of spirits in the service of love, kindness, and justice. We share the sacred breath. We gather together to build the beloved community, breath by breath, word by word, note by note, step by step, thread by thread. We gather together to sing and speak and dance and weave and breathe the beloved community into being. This is our work, this is our calling, and this is our joy. We are grateful to be here together again today, friends, as we worship together, as we ask some clever and impertinent and really important questions of each other. And so I invite you please to rise in body or in spirit and gratitude as we sing together, We Give Thanks. We'll sing it through a couple of times. Please rise. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and thus far away. for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. One more time. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Please join together in the words on the screen as Reverend Ian lights the chalice. May love be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration.
Every human being understands the heavy weight of silence and the ache of waiting for an answer. Today's choral offering, Answer Me, from the play The Band's Visit, beautifully captures this universal experience. Originally written for a solo voice, the choral arrangement elevates this piece into a communal prayer. It reminds us that even in our loneliest moments of waiting, we are never truly alone in our longing. Please enjoy our performance of Answer Me.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely beautiful. I'd like to share a reading called A Gift by Denise Levertov. Just when you seem to yourself nothing but a flimsy web of questions, you are given the questions of others to hold in the emptiness of your hands. Songbird eggs that can still hatch if you keep them warm. Butterflies opening and closing themselves in your cupped palms, trusting you not to injure their scintillant fur, their dust. You are given the questions of others as if they were answers to all you ask. Yes, perhaps this gift is your answer. Today is a Share the Plate Sunday. The Cathedral City Senior Center is today's Share the Plate. The center emphasizes mental and physical health and wellness through exercise classes, card games, support groups, creative arts, and more. They also offer one-on-one appointments with a variety of social service agencies. One of their signature services is the food bank. What makes it different is that Cathedral City Senior Center focuses on the dignity and humanity of the person seeking food. Regardless of whether the person is coming in is just down on their luck, having a hard time paying the bills, or unhoused, the center offers a personalized shopping experience staffed by over 20 volunteers whose goal is to make everyone comfortable. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Corbin and Victor Ide, who are here to tell us more about the good works that they do.
Well, thank you all. Thank you so much, Walter. Thank you, Reverend Ian. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Levon. And thank you, Sheila, for nominating us in the first place. Can you hear me okay? Is that better? Okay. All right. Well, I'm Jeff Corbin, CEO, and I've been with the center since 2019. I am originally from Seattle. I've got a 26-year-old son living up in LA, getting his master's in film at Cal State Northridge. And this is Vic Ide. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Vic Ide. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Senior Center, and I've been there a lot longer than Jeff has. I was on the board that actually hired him back in 2019, and then he asked me to step off the board to help him kind of build the Senior Center. I'm from a small town in Michigan. That's where I grew up.
And we are so honored to receive your June plate. Thank you so much. First and foremost, we need the resources, and we can assure you we'll put them to very good use. As I learned more about you and how well you state what it is you do and what you're about, I realized just how closely we align. We're not as clear about all of those goals, but we've been very intentional about trying to reach them, especially around social justice. But first, a little about us. We are a nonprofit. A lot of senior centers across the country, about 68% of them, are funded by their cities or municipalities. We're not. We're all nonprofit. We raise all of our own money. We do get a grant from the city, but it's, in comparison, 98% of what we get, we raise ourselves. So, and 67% of our membership is on scholarship and pay no program fees or on a sliding scale. So we don't turn anyone away for lack of ability to pay. So we will put those to very good use. Also, your Share the Plate organizations in the past have been so impressive. They do such good work across the valley. We feel very lucky to be in their company. So we have been, for 45 years, we've been an amazing senior center. But we do so much more today. For the past 7 years, we've been very intentional about our growth. We have been trying to reach out to the Hispanic community, and it has really worked. It's grown us by over 400%. And it's changed us from our name, Cathedral City Senior Center, is really an undersell because we are 49% of our folks are from Cathedral City, 51% are from outside of Cathedral City. But the thing they have in common is they're all facing big obstacles. Cathedral City is a working class city, and it's a majority minority city, so largely Hispanic. So in our 7 years, we've become a bilingual organization, and that's changed the complexion. It's also changed the kinds of services and programs we offer. So now we are part senior center, but we're also a major social services center, community center, and now I'm proud to say a rec center too. We've just entered into a contract with a desert recreation district to program all the hours that we can't program because we don't have enough staffing. So they're going to program from 5 to 9 at night and on weekends. So, and that's family programming. So we couldn't be any more excited. So we've got a lot of really good stuff going on. And I'm going to let Vic talk a little bit more about some of the new stuff. Well, I get some water. Excuse me.
Well, I'm a person of few words, so I'm not going to talk very long. But from the minute that Jeff and I walked in the door this morning, we felt so welcomed from the folks out there that welcomed us in. The literature in your lobby, you know, the little red card that you give out, the Know Your Rights information, the values that
we also give out.
Which we give out as well. The values that you see on the that we saw on the screen while we were waiting here is just so aligned with our organization. And this is where I get emotional. Because our senior center is a welcoming space for everyone, just like you guys are. And so we're just so grateful to have your support and for us to have found your organization.
Yeah, we've been very overwhelmed as we've gotten into much more social justice work, which it's really drawn us in. We've been overwhelmed by the goodness in our community. The people. Well, Walter's one of them. He's a big supporter of the work we're doing. Has become very involved and very close friend of the center and of ours in a very short time. Sheila too, and by the way, it was all I could do not to clap when I saw Joel here, because you're so lucky to have Joel giving performances every single Sunday. Yeah, it's been a lot. We've grown from a $200,000 budget back in 2019 to $2.2 million today, and it sounds impressive, but the thing is, it's half of where we should be. We are scratching the surface. We are reuniting families torn apart by ICE. We are helping folks that their SNAP benefits have been cut. And we're barely making a dent. We're able to help a lot of people a little, but not enough.
Yes. I'm just going to wrap it up real quick. If you know of anybody in need of food, come to our food bank. We have the largest volunteer-led food bank in the Valley. And it's a shopping experience, so you can pick, the food that you need for you and your family. While you're there, we have all sorts of social service partners there, providing services for other things you might need: housing, mental health, all sorts of other resources. That's what we do. So if you know of anybody in need, please send them our way.
Yes. Oh. Fantastic. Dear friend of both of ours. Yeah, we're at the end of the hall, so come see us anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your story with us. And now, if the ushers would come forward to accept our gifts toward our Share the Plate partner and to the works of our community.
Thank you, Joel, and thank you here and at home for your generosity and the support of this really important, crucial work in our community and in our congregation. Thank you, thank you. Now we take a moment to share the joys and sorrows that we have in our hearts and in our lives, and we have one joy written in our book today, which comes from Bryna. And Bryna celebrates a mission accomplished. Her book, Morning Pages, is now published. And available on Amazon. So, no hints there. And we have so many other things. You know, the world, friends, I know the world is too much with us these days, is it not? There's just so much going on. The news is just moment after moment of outrage and fear and anger, and also stories of solidarity and connection and hope, as the folks from Cathedral City Senior Center bring to us today, and stories of hope and connection and people working in support of each other. And so I know that there are things that weigh heavy on our hearts, pains and fears, anguishes and worries, and those are real things. They are things for us to be careful of, things for us to care for and about. They are things for us to rally against and to resist. And remember, always remember, you are not alone. You are here. You are part of this community. You are part of the broader community full of people and organizations full of spirit and hope and possibility. And so I invite us this morning, whatever those things that are heavy on your heart, you do not need to put them down or put them away. Hold them. Hold them in love. Hold yourself in love, knowing that you will act in the days and months and years to come. You will act to bring joy and love to the world and justice. But I invite you now to pause for a moment of quiet, and hold all of us in love. Hold our connections. And Sheila, what was the name of your friend? And I forgot one that Sheila sent in earlier. We're holding Sheila's friend Kathy, who's dealing with some struggles right now in our hearts. And I'm sorry that I forgot Sheila. Yeah, she's dealing with cancer. So we hold Kathy, we hold our entire community in our hearts as we pause and take a breath together in the peace and love of this place. May all beings know peace. May all beings know an end to suffering. May all beings know love. And friends, we continue to hold ourselves and our communities, our loved ones, and our neighbors in our heart as we sing the songs that we sing every week. Spirit of Life, Fuente de Amor. Please join your loving voices together. Spirit of life, come to me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí. y al corazón cántale compasión. Sopla al volar, nube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arráyame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí. Well, friends, today's sermon is a little different than usual. If you're here for the first time, we do this maybe once a year, so don't run away. Or run away if you'd like, but you know. We're doing an Ask Your Minister Anything sermon. Now, a lot of my colleagues do this, have done this 3 years. This is, I think, the third time I've done it in my time here, and it used to be called a question box sermon. Some of my colleagues invite people when they arrive at church on a Sunday morning to drop a question in a box, and then while the choir is singing, and thank you, choir, by the way, so beautiful today. Thank you, thank you. Drop in a box, and while the choir is singing or offering is being collected, they sort through the questions and decide how they're going to answer them. I don't trust myself quite that much. So a lot of you have sent in questions over the past couple of weeks, and I am not going to get to all of them. There were a lot. But I want you to know that if you don't hear your question, it's not because I haven't heard it, but you know, there are sermons to preach in the fall around many of these things. So I also want to be really clear. I'm not going to say who asked the questions, and I invite those of you who ask the questions, when I answer your question, don't hear it as if I'm answering directly at you. All I will say there. My answers are not speaking for the congregation, nor for the other ministers or the UUA in general. They're my answers. They're real grab bags of things today. I'm really glad for the questions. You've sparked ideas and plans for sermons and other things for over the summer and the fall. And as I said, I'm not going to get to all of them, but I haven't forgotten you. So the first question I want to answer, someone asked, what does spirituality mean to you? We come into this place from many different places. And what does spirituality mean to me? And to me, the idea of spirituality or living a spiritual life is living a life that brings deeper connection between ourselves and that which is larger than ourselves. For some of us, that is God or goddess or spirit. For some of us, that is the universe. For others, it is the human community and the human species or the natural world. Something that connects us more deeply to that and reminds us first that we're not alone and also that we are not the center of the universe. So a spirituality involves some humility and finding deep acceptance for the beauty that is in us as well. What makes a life spiritual is not so much what you do as how you're doing it, what your intention is, how what you do reminds you that you are not the emperor of everything, that you are part of something vast and powerful and awe-inspiring, that you are the universe playing hide and seek with itself. That's my favorite. I want you to hear that again. We are the universe playing hide and seek with itself. That you know that tomorrow may be different from today. It may be harder, it may be easier, but you will still be you, and we will still be we, and that together we can transform ourselves and our worlds into places where we bring this much intention and care and grounded love to each time we interact with our neighbor. The next question is, and I also want to share with you that these questions have inspired, you're going to hear me speak formally and informally over time, and sometimes these questions have inspired me to go back and pull some words from something I said to you earlier, so you may hear echoes. I only plagiarize from myself. The next question is, why was my soul put into my body as a white female versus a man from Nigeria? How do souls decide what body is next? Now, this is an Ian answer, and not the same answer you're going to get from anybody else in the room. I think that we come out of the chaos that is the beautiful living universe, spend our time here in the world we are born into, in a world that we craft and create and change and love in, and that when we are done, we are done. And our energy and being is reabsorbed into the lifeblood of the universe to be used to become trees and spiders and bacteria and tigers and other humans. I find great comfort and peace in this understanding. Alan Watts, as I said, talks about us being the universe playing hide and seek with itself. And I find great delight in that imagery. Others will have a different story to tell you. So to come back to the question, I don't think that we're born with a soul. I think that we grow it and weave it as we grow and learn who we are. I think where we are born shapes us. I don't think we come to this world fully formed, but that we are a living piece of the universe and that we each need to figure out what that means for ourselves and who we are going to grow into being. So much of how this goes depends on where we were born and who we are born to and the environment we're grown into and the spirit that is just us. Each celebration of life that I lead, I share some version of these words. We are reminded by our gathering with each other in the midst of this grief and this joy that we are all interconnected each to each, that we all grow and change and deepen in our relationships with each other. We are made by each other, made by our interaction and our love, shaped by the visions and ideals and messy and sometimes painful humanness of our family and friends and neighbors, shaped by struggle as well as joy. And that is a fact we cannot escape. And when I was thinking about this question, I brought to my mind the words of poet William Stafford, who wrote this is the last stanza in his poem in response to a question, what does the earth say? The earth says, where you live, wear the kind of color that your life is. And by listening with the same bowed head that sings, draw all things into one song. Join the sparrow on the lawn and row that easy way, the rage without, met by the wings within, that guide you anywhere the wind blows. Listening, I think that's what the earth says. Next question is, this person is curious about how the body, mind, spirit trio is addressed in Unitarianism, that it feels very mind heavy. And they add, and I will quote, friends who are resistant to checking us out say it ignores embodiment and a higher power. It is true, I say, that we have been and still are very heavily mind-focused in our tradition. For some of us in our history, this might grow out of our discomfort with religious traditions that engage in more embodied and emotional forms of worship in which we experienced as oppressive or challenging or life-threatening. It may grow out of the European Enlightenment roots of much of our tradition, with the use of reason in the face of dogma and unquestioned theology. And I also think it's grounded in our general Western dislike and often disdain and fear for the human body and its messiness and its radical diversity. And I see around me and around us in our tradition a striving to move away from just that, to more fully engage our bodies and our hearts and our spirits and our worship and our daily practices. We've been trying, it's not just me, we've been trying to do a little bit more of this here, a little more contemplation, a little more reflection, a little more movement, but it is an issue, it is a thing we move toward as a group. There is nothing in our values that you see on the screen before the service, nothing in our values that we profess as common to us that demands that we only use our mind. Perhaps our passion is better served by using our bodies and our spirit and how we think about those things. And so as we move forward as we continue to move forward through our life as a community, I invite you to hold in your heart, how is my body right now? What does my body need to make this change happen in the world? What does my spirit need to hold it up to inspire? As I said, that's a whole series of sermons in itself. Next question. It's a longer one, but there are several questions. How does UU philosophy theology address theodicy? How do UU understand or defend God's goodness and love in the face of evil? Is it to grant humans free will? Does UU believe it takes suffering to grow the soul or similar? Does UU believe in a greater good we cannot see or imagine that is a result of such evil? Or does UU simply offer comfort in the face of suffering? Or some other idea entirely? I will start by saying thank you for this question. I'll say that first. And then saying that answering that question, or those questions, requires more than a few moments in a reflection on many other questions. Those nested questions are the seeds of centuries of philosophy and theology and ethics. You may have inspired a couple of sermons for the fall, by the way. Before I go on, though, a brief definition of that word at the beginning, theodicy. If you have not heard that word before, it refers to the conundrum embodied in this question. And we're talking in theist spaces right now, but if God is all good and all powerful, how does evil exist? All good, all powerful, and all knowing. How does evil exist? For many Christians, traditional answers to this question, point toward our being given free will. And so we have the choice to choose evil, or we have the choice, no choice at all, if we don't have that. And also towards us just not having a deep enough understanding of God's plan. And for many of us, that answer may not be satisfactory. Because we are not all Christians, and we are not all theists. And so this idea of how does God allow this may be a different question for many people. Also, our universalist ancestors explicitly and forcibly rejected the idea that enduring evil in the service of a greater good was a good thing. They rejected the idea, for example, of an eternal torment in hell for our. And I want to say, I know what my answer to this question is. Unitarian writ large does not have or pretend to have one answer that we all agree with or that we must agree with to belong here. And so I checked in with some of my colleagues to see how they would answer. Here's what I heard. I have not named their names here just out of privacy, but I will tell you, I can show you the post in Facebook. So, one colleague said, I don't believe in an all-powerful God that is able to control human events. We still get to choose evil. For me, it goes with process theology, which I've talked about before. They say, God is the force luring us toward good. It can't force us to go there. One answer. Another one said, life calls to life, and too often we choose otherwise. Personally, they say, evil is easier to understand than random chance. Evil happens when pain or ego or utility take precedence over relationships. Another answer. I'd answer that it is not God's goodness that I believe in, but my hopeful, stubborn, sometimes idealistic belief in humanity's goodness. And for me, that is God, with a lot of UU translation. Evil exists, yes. I don't believe, though, that it comes from God either, but from humans. But I believe that love and goodness is a stronger power, and that we always have the possibility to choose that, follow that, or embrace it. For me, my understanding of what Unitarian Universalism, our theology, our history, our communities offer to us is the understanding that what grounds and centers us is love, relationship, commitment to spiritual growth, the understanding that we are all intimately interwoven with each other and all of life. I don't see evil as a vast entity outside of the universe and tempting and attacking us. I see it more in the day-to-day actions of people and in the systems that we build that discriminate and attack and seduce us into greed and power. Like, as I said a few weeks ago, like Tolkien, I understand that the possibility of evil and violence and hatred are woven into our lives, and that it is our choices, large and small, that allow us to fight against its proclivity. When we see only our own perspective, when we are willfully unaware that others may have needs and motives different than ours, we open ourselves to turning our backs on the good and on the possibility for change. Like Ursula Le Guin, I believe that we are tempted to lives of hyper-independence and giving our hearts and souls to power and greed. And so we can see how to resist the seduction of that power, building community, living in harmony with each other and with nature. And like Terry Pratchett, I see that ignoring the worthiness and holiness of each person in front of us is a shortcut to sin and evil. Pratchett said the first step to sin is to see people as things. And so we can teach ourselves the habits of kindness and care and steadfast faithfulness that will help us survive and thrive together as we know we are meant to do. Okay, take a breath. A little bit of a left turn. Why are the Unitarians not as prevalent in Europe and other countries? I'm going to start by saying that I am not a historian, and I have a very limited answer to this question, but I'm going to learn more. Our specific Unitarian Universalist tradition is deeply grounded in the religious, social, and political history of what has become the United States and separately Canada. Different history in Canada, but parallel. Our tradition grew here, interwoven with the American focus on independence and freedom, and grounded in the same Enlightenment thinking that inspired the founding generation of the United States. And the American Transcendentalist movement grew within and alongside our tradition. Emerson, Thoreau, the Fullers. And so many of the ways that that tradition influenced the development of the nation influenced the development of our religious tradition as well and left space for us. And Europe, and the history of Europe, Europe has a different experience and history of religion and its place in the modern society. And Europe has a different experience of the violence that can grow out of the differences in religion, even small differences between religious bodies. So I don't have a huge amount to offer here, and it may be grounds for some future learning, but I do think that here, our version of Unitarianism grew very much in parallel and interwoven with our history in the United States in ways that it didn't in England or Poland or other parts of Europe. Next question. In what ways do you think UUCOD and Unitarian Universalism in general can make a more public witness on important moral issues of our time? Examples of moral issues are how immigrants are being treated in general, and in particular in detention centers, cruel and violent rhetoric used by our president and his allies, scapegoating of trans people, etc. I think we need to continue what we're doing and do it more and find other ways to. We need to be speaking our values in the public square. And by speaking our values, I don't just mean standing on the street corner and shouting about them, although that's really good too. Writing letters to the editor, talking to your neighbor, refusing the lie that we are separate and that difference is bad, refusing the lie in every moment of your day. We can build relationships with the communities in which we live. How are we as individuals in a congregation part of the life of this community? Are we only inviting people in, or how are we going out? It is really important and powerful that we give money to organizations in our community doing work that reflect our values. We want to keep doing that. And how do we do more than just give money? We can answer the calls to action that come from our larger national body. We can support our larger national body, which is involved in multiple lawsuits and statements by religious bodies about the things that this government is doing, but not just this government, governments in the past as well. There is so much more we can do. We can fund legal and ethical resistance to the evil that this administration is pulling, but we need to speak and live our values in every moment, every day, and sometimes make a choice to not be the ones in charge, but to follow the lead of others. Again, more and more and more. None of these answers will be satisfactory, I understand, because we're doing a lot of them. So, another question. Other than community, which we do very well here, what do you see as the top 3 most important services a UU minister and by extension UUCOD can or should provide to individual members of the congregation, and how should those be improved? I want to start by gently and lovingly pushing back against a piece of it. I don't think we're a service provider. I don't think we should provide a list of services for the cost of membership. That being said, I hope that we provide an environment in which people can engage in personal and spiritual growth in this community. I hope that we provide opportunity for individuals and the community to be engaged in the bettering of the world around. As for a minister, I think the minister is involved in helping lead and guide and support those two things I just said. The minister is also here to provide pastoral care for times of trouble and help support the congregants in providing pastoral care for each other. I think ministers have a role of teaching the history of our tradition, the role of teaching about the world, and the role of inviting others to teach in that work. And I think the minister has a role, and the leadership role, in collaborating on building and crafting and weaving transformative worship that is meaningful, worship that is powerful, worship that changes even the smallest part of our heart. And I also think, and you can judge how I or any of your other ministers you've experienced have done this, I also think it's the minister's role to make you a little bit uncomfortable occasionally, to ask you some questions you may not want to answer. Those are some of the things I think the minister can and should do in a congregation. And the next few questions, I'm just going to share the questions with you because I didn't have time to get to the answer or because I want to be able to answer it in longer form later in the year. The first one relates to that last thing I said a minister should do. So I'm going to share this question with you. I want you to hold it in love, and I'm not going to give you an answer right now, but I want you to hold it in love. Given that Unitarian Universalist churches have a reputation on attracting progressive people, but can lack inclusivity, meaning well-intentioned, financially comfortable, predominantly white people, what can this congregation do to combat the problem of professed progressivism, but still containing microaggressions and racism, etc., within the body of the congregation? I want you to just sit and hold that as a question to ponder. We're going to come to it later, but I want you to hold it. Another question I want you to hold: how can we attract teens and young adults, which is a nationwide challenge in all denominations? Another set of two questions that I'm not quite ready to answer yet, although I know you want me to, but I'm here for 6 more months. What have you most enjoyed in your tenure here? It may not have happened yet. And what would you encourage us to focus on through your remaining tenure? I will have time to share those with you. Those are just some questions that I didn't get around to answering today, but I want you to hold them in your hearts because I will come back to them, I promise. Those of you who asked those questions, thank you. I will return to them. I have 2 ending questions. The first one came to me this. It was suggested to me that since your sermons have gotten better since you began preaching at UUCOD, that you are using AI to assist in your writing. Is this true? Answer number 1, no. Well, not quite no, because I did use ChatGPT to ask. I asked ChatGPT how to answer that question. And here is the response. Here is the response. And I want to say before I say this, I do want to say AI is a scary thing. AI is a powerful thing. AI is something we're all dealing with and we're all grappling with. And I'm going to pay more attention to it a little more in the future. So I do understand the roots of this question. Here's what ChatGPT said. This is the only time I've used ChatGPT in the writing of my sermon. No, I don't use AI to write my sermons. I appreciate the compliment, though. I hope that and I agree with this, I hope that my preaching has improved because I've grown in my study, in my experience, in my work, and in my understanding of our congregation. Like most pastors, I use a variety of resources in sermon preparation, but the sermons themselves are my own work. That's my answer to that question. And I'll talk more about AI eventually, don't worry. So the last question I will answer is just the fun one. Although it's the hardest question. Who is your favorite character from Star Trek and why? So understanding that Star Trek began in 1967, 68, and is still going, this is hard. But I have three answers to this question, like a good Unitarian Universalist, from three different points of view, and I could probably list so many of the ways that I love so many characters in all of the iterations of Star Trek. But I'm going to start with three. The first is not really a silly answer, but a silly answer. It's Kai Wynn on Deep Space Nine. Now, if you've not watched Deep Space Nine, Kai Wynn is basically the evil space pope. She is the leader of the Bajoran religion and is a human being who is, who is grappling the entire time of the show between her religious faith and her ego and quest for power, and ultimately fails in that struggle, or fails in a way that we would like her to fail. There are a couple of moments late in the season when she's just about to see it, and she gives in to her greed and lust for power. And so she's the best villain in Star Trek. The second answer is Lieutenant Reginald Barclay. Now, those of you who know Star Trek are nodding your heads. Those of you who don't. So Reg Barclay works in the engineering department on the Starship Enterprise, and then later for Starfleet Command in both The Next Generation and then in the later seasons of Voyager. And Reginald Barclay is a dweeb and has no self-confidence and is bumbling and is in no way, in no shape or form an idiot, but is bumbling, and especially in comparison to the paragons of perfection that the rest of the Star Trek Next Generation characters were seen as, especially in the beginning of the series. He's a sharp difference. He's a foil to their perfection. And ends up saving the day several times and becomes a really important part of the crew. And in fact, if you're a fan of Voyager, is instrumental in getting Voyager home from their long journey in the Delta. So I love Reginald Barclay. The first couple of episodes he's in are cringeworthy. And then it just becomes it's beautiful. So the real answer and the final answer is this. There was a thing going around on Facebook and all these things a decade ago or so ago, and like, post the picture of 3 fictional characters that represent your personality. And I posted Colonel Potter from MASH, Anthony Michael Hall's character from The Breakfast Club, the nerd, and Deanna Troi. Deanna Troi is the Lieutenant Deanna Troi is the counselor on Star Trek, the Enterprise, on Star Trek The Next Generation. She shows up, unfortunately, in Enterprise, and also a little bit in Voyager, and then in the post-series Picard, she shows up again. And she is the ship's counselor. She's half Beta Z, which means she's empathic. She has psychic. She's able to detect the emotions of other people. And her job on the ship at the beginning of the series is to wear a low-cut blouse and say, "Oh, I feel anger." And to be the voice of, I'm being sort of snarky, but it's true, to be the voice of heart and diplomacy in situations where it feels like violence would be supposed to. She is the voice of, not the voice of reason as much as the voice of heart. She is also one of the characters that develops most over the series, going from the person who would just pop up and say, "Oh, I feel anger," to a person who is integral into the success of the ship's missions, to the integral to the success and to the health, the mental health of the ship, the crew. Oh, there we go. Of the crew, and she's also used by the producers over time to shift. In the middle of the 4th and 5th seasons, she starts to take more assertive roles. She starts to wear a uniform instead of the other clothes that she was wearing earlier. She starts to be called by her rank. lieutenant, she starts to learn how to be a bridge officer and make difficult choices. She is engaged in espionage work and all this stuff. And for me, most importantly, is one of the very few people who will stand up to Jean-Luc Picard, who will call him on his bull. More by the end of the series, but especially in Picard, later on, she's the one who's able to say to him, you're not doing anything rational. And so I love her deeply for both her empathy and her willingness to be empathic and empathetic and do her job of calling people on their challenge. And so Deanna Troi, always. Thank you for that question. Sort of, it's a lot. Thank you for your questions, Brett. There are a lot of them, and some I didn't answer, and I apologize. But I do enjoy this opportunity, as Denise Levertov says, this moment of other people's questions are a gift. They're a gift into seeing who we are to other people. They're a gift into seeing the world a little differently. They're a gift, they're a gift, they're a gift. They can be a gift to invite us to understand that we are not paying attention to something. And so I invite you, as always, to think about the earth saying, listening is the thing we should do. Thank you, friend. And none of you asked, but this is my favorite hymn in our hymn book. Will you please rise in body or in spirit as we sing together in number 6, just as long as I have breath. Please rise in body or spirit. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
The first bit of congregational news is simply thank you. Thank you to everyone who played a role in the creation and carrying out of today's service. It takes many hands to make the work of the service, and is so deeply appreciated. You are invited to join us this afternoon at 4:30 in the community room to watch Rise Up and Sing Out, a concert for the First Amendment. Rise Up and Sing Out will feature an all-star lineup including Jane Fonda, Patti Smith, Bette Midler, Rufus Wainwright, Joy Reid, Wilson Cruz, Broadway inspirational voices, and more. Together, we'll celebrate the freedoms guaranteed by the First Amendment, including the freedoms of speech, religion, press, assembly, and protest, and the people power that protect them. Join us to sing along, connect with our UU family and friends, share food and creativity, and celebrate the power we build when we come together. This will be an afternoon of joy, inspiration, and collective action in support of democracy and freedom. But I do have one very special ask. If you are attending, could you please go over to Carol McDaniel back by the AV equipment? There she is, waving her hand, and let her know that you're going to come join today. Okay, so please, before you leave, please let Carol McDaniel know if you're going to come this afternoon. Thank you so much. And next up from Social Justice, this coming Tuesday, June 16th, Singing Resistance Coachella Valley will be leading songs at the Vigil for Justice at the Adelanto ICE Detention Center. This program will focus on the more than 150 immigrants on a hunger strike protesting conditions inside all 3 facilities at the Adelanto ICE Processing Center. They have repeatedly cited being fed moldy food, given inadequate medical care, and living in conditions so severe that 5 people have died at the facility since the start of 2025. Private prison companies should not be making billions of dollars while cutting corners on basic human care. Join us and demand transparency, accountability, and humane treatment for everyone held in federal custody. For more details on both of these announcements, look in last Friday's newsletter, which if you are not on our mailing list and you'd like to be, simply send an email to admin, ADMIN, at uucod.org. We'll join our voices together as Reverend Ian extinguishes the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Friends, today I want to finish with a story that I've told you several times before, but it is a story that informs me, my ministry, my life, and my heart, and has for many years. And so this is an old story about an old rabbi who once asked his pupils how they could tell when the night had ended and the day had begun, because in Jewish tradition it's very important to know when day begins and ends. And so the rabbi asked his pupils how they could tell when the night had ended and the day had begun. Could it be, said one of the students, when you can see an animal in the distance and tell whether it is a sheep or a dog? No, answered the rabbi. Could it be, said another, when you can look at a tree in the distance and tell whether it is a fig tree or a peach tree? No, answered the rabbi. Then what is it? Demanded the increasingly exasperated students. It is when you can look on the face of anyone you meet and see that they are your kin. Because if you cannot see that, it is still night. Friends, with our kinship with each other and the universe deep in our hearts, go in peace to love and serve the world.